one of the ways we can tell it's older, because it switches right after this era of house, is the subfloor here is actually somewhere in the neighborhood of 1x6 pine run at a diagonal to the floor joists themselves, which dates the house typically somewhere between about the 1930s and the 1950s or so. So this one falls right at the end of that range. It's kind of what we'd expect to see. Too much newer than this, and we're not going to see this kind of subfloor anymore. We're going to go to plywood, and then later on to oriented strand board. And then also typical for some 1940s construction are these kind of, I don't want to say primitive, but maybe first generation joist hangers, which are stamped steel and only have nail holes where they actually hang on that ledger board. They're not actually nailed at the floor joist itself, but that's really common for the era as well. And then the other thing, I guess, looking at as we're standing down here talking about it, that's really common for 1940s construction is this relatively small size steel beam and steel posts holding up kind of the center line of this house. And then they tie into block bump outs on either side of the foundation wall. And then I guess if you needed another thing, the really old school nuts and bolts that are actually holding that plate to the top of the beam itself. So shortly after the 1940s here, we switched to a hex nut instead of an old square one like that. So all of this dates the house to about the 1940s, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, but we've got it to within 20 or 30 years.
You just gave me an idea for a game.
Uh-oh.
And what I'm going to do is we're going to walk into the foundation of a house, and you have 3 minutes to make your best guess
As to how old the house is.
and we'll see how close you are. Sound like fun?
For me?
Yes.
Or for people watching this video?
We'll all have fun watching it.
Okay. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.